It's a great day to talk hockey on HabsCast.
Yes, indeed. A great day, especially after seeing Alex Zharovsky's game yesterday. Wow. This kid is really developing as expected, as hoped, even more so. I mean, I had some issues with him last year as far as his play away from the puck and such, but I saw improvement as the year went along. This year, my goodness, he played he played 16 minutes or yesterday at center, was 50% on draws. This is an 18-year-old playing center in the KHL. Um, not not many do. It's kind of mind blowing actually. I have a stat here that just gives you an idea of what we're looking at here as far as potential goes. Now, these are the top points by KHL players at 18 years of age at the start of their KHL season. All right. Tolvanen is the all time leader, 36 points in 49 games, 0.735 points per game. All right. You look at this list, the top 14 all time, Zharovsky's already on the list. 12 games he's played, right? Tolvanen has the top mark, 0.735 points per game. Zharovsky so far is at a point per game. He's on pace for 61 points. All right. Like he's got what, 49 games left or 59, 59 games left, something like that, 59. And, you know, he needs 24 points to equal the all time mark for a 18-year-old at the KHL level. I'll say that I think he'll breeze past it. Now, the reason why Demidov isn't on this list is, well, he turned 19 early on last year in his season. But I'm telling you, this just bodes so well for Zharovsky, and if you also look at that list, there aren't a lot of centers. It's it's predominantly wingers. You know, Kuznetsov would have been a rare exception. And what did he do? Well, he played a top two role on a Stanley Cup winner in Washington later on. So it's this to me is mind blowing that, you know, just to put it in perspective, just how impressive it is for him to step in. And this is after missing the first 7 games of the year, too. So he's injured. He comes in. He plays a first line top two center role, basically. Sometimes he's on the wing and he switched back and forth. But right now, yesterday, he played a top two center role and had a goal and 2 assists. We'll have a look at the video here. It's pretty damn impressive. Let's have a look here. First shift, he comes that close to scoring. He almost got a highlight reel goal on his very first shift. So okay, not bad. Here you notice there he's taking the face off, right? He tried to win it to himself. He's always thinking offense in the offensive zone. I like it. He doesn't mind. He tries taking shots on net and winning faceoffs to himself. But what I've especially liked is just how he look at him here. He's got the puck, protects it. He sees the ice so well. He's so poised at 18 years of age. And I love his length too. He's he's got a long stick. He's at least 6'2", I'd say. And the really the look at the move he makes it in the corner. Like he gets away from, very similar to Demidov in that regard, where at this young age, already at the KHL level, he dangles people, but he does it with his length his puck skills. Demidov and Zharovsky, they're right up there. Like we're talking Dak suit level of puck skills as teenagers. Bachelnikov would be close. He'd be the only other one that I'd put in their category, puck skills at that young of age. And Kaprizov was pretty good too. But we're talking that level. But in addition to, those guys aren't 6'2", and also don't play center. Look at here he tries the move. You know what? The more I see him, the more he reminds me of Beckett Seneca, like very similar type player. So if you want to look at it that way, the Canadiens, I saw Bobrov and Lapointe at the rink in Ottawa during the playoffs. They were keeping a close eye on Seneca, and if Anaheim had taken Demi, I wouldn't doubt it that Seneca was Montreal's pick. But hey, why not get the next Seneca in the next draft at 34 overall, no less? It's just the Canadiens of under Kent Hughes have just done some amazing drafting. Look at this move here. He does the spinorama, takes the shot on net. He's just so confident already. And this is 12 games into his KHL career. Well, he played a couple at the end of last year, but what needs to be kept in mind is 2 years ago, this is a kid that was in the NMHL. He wasn't even in the first Russian junior league. So 18 months ago, 20 months ago, he was playing Tier 2 Russian junior. And now he's a top 2 center in the KHL. Like, how often do you see that kind of improvement curve? It's exceptionally rare. And it also, you have to also take into consideration that he's still a beanpole. Like, he's maybe 175 pounds, and he's like his skating is already, I'd say, average at least. Average at the KHL level. His speed, his shiftiness, his agility, and all that are already above average at this level. But just his speed alone, I'd say, is average at 18 in the KHL. Well, wait till he puts on 20 more pounds. That's not going to be average. Here he is on the draw. See him. He tried to take a shot. Ended up getting an assist on this one. Sometimes trying to take shots not a bad strategy. Here he is again. He's very good at hounding the puck carrier, anticipates the play well, and with his long stick and great hands, he steals a lot of pucks already at this young age in Russia's top league. Here he kept the play alive, got the puck over behind the net. Again, his puck protection skills. And this is for a kid that still needs to put on 20 pounds. Wait till he does. There's his goal. It was kind of kind of fluky. It went off defenseman, went off the goalie, back off the defenseman and in, but he was trying to make the right play there, the pass. So goal and 2 assists, 50% on the face-offs, made some nice defensive plays, and we'll get to a few a little later on here, but Salavat had the lead, and they, he had to play a defensive style as the game went on, and he did just that. But here he is again, loses the puck there, but comes back, and hounds the guy with it, and makes a good defensive play. Blocks a shot, or at least tries to block a shot, and then he tries to block another one. So he's putting in the effort, and that was kind of like maybe my main concern with him last year, and the only reason why I didn't rank him in the top 20. I didn't know. Well, Russian players, like, you're guessing at times. Look at that play. outmuscled the guy again at 175 pounds to keep it in the zone. But my main concern was his lack of effort sometimes in the defensive zone. But he was playing wing. He was a scoring machine in the second half last year, and I think he concentrated on offense. Well, this year he's playing KHL. They're putting him in at center, and he obviously has got the memo that you got to play well away from the puck. And here you see him coming back on the back check here. I like how he got back, cut off the passing lane to the guy. That always impresses me. And again, especially a kid, 18 years old, keeping up to a guy trying to get a breakaway at the KHL level tells me that it's only a matter of him adding strength. And once the explosiveness comes with his skating, he's going to be an above average skater too. There he tries. He likes to try that push the guy with the stick there to get him back in the back check. I don't know how well it works, but at least he tries it. Here he is on the back check again. I love the effort, Yeah, he skates a bit scrunched over at times, but so did Gretzky. He seemed to get by okay, carrying the piano on his back at times. Hey, however, whatever you have to do, right? But no, I don't have an issue with his skating. For me, it's only just strength related, and once that comes, look out. He's going to be a force, I think. Now, the title there, should he have been a top 5 pick? Hey, that's I'm trying to get people to watch this. If anyone that follows me knows that I don't, I'm not a believer in redrafts a year after or 6 months after the draft. So I'm not going to say definitively, yes, he should have been a top 5 pick. But if we have a look here at if today I was drafting again and I look at some of the names on this list and say, well, would you consider taking Zharovsky ahead of a few of those guys? I'd say yes, I would. I've been so impressed with him so far. Hey, we wait 5 years before we definitively do it. I never even consider a redraft, an official redraft, until 5 years down the road. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Brady Martin, Desnoyers, Frundell, Misa, all great looking prospects, but he's right in that category right now. Like, I don't think any of them would be, more than a point per game in the KHL right now. They're playing center and top 2 center and point per game in the KHL. It's early, all that, but early returns on him, just like with Hudson, looking like he should have been a top 5 pick. It's quite possible that we look back 5 years from now and say, you know what, this Zharovsky kid may have 5 top 5 talent. So how encouraging is that, right? The complaints about Nick Bobrov's drafting, remember that when, after he took Slav, after he took Reinbacher, people, instead of just knowing the prospects and scouting them and maybe waiting a bit and being patient and seeing how things would go, people look at his drafting record and especially drafting Europeans and say, oh, well, these guys are probably going to be busts because look at the guys that he picked that were busts. But you have to remember that scouting staff, there's no one person on a scouting staff. It takes a team. It takes a GM. It takes regional scouts. It takes head scout. Marty Lapointe, Marty has just as big a say in Montreal, right? It was a completely different scouting staff in New York when he was there. So obviously the Russian scouts that they have are good. Obviously the European scouts are good. And obviously Marty Lapointe, if you look at his drafting record since 2018, like there's a pattern there. Marty Lapointe is a big reason why the Montreal Canadiens are where they are right now. It's because he's an excellent scout. There's just no two ways about it. But obviously, like I've talked to Nick Bobrov before, and he's a sharp cookie. The guy's really studious. He's smart, and yeah, well, maybe he made some poor picks in the past. You know what? If you're a studious, hardworking, intelligent scout, you learn from your mistakes. You evolve as a scout. You get better. You know, there's lots of scouts that every scout in the league that has scouted for more than 10 years has made mistakes. Every scouting staff, every team, nobody drafts perfectly. If you look at every team's record, you know, like Boston's a good example back in the they're genius, genius scouting because they picked Bergeron late and Lucic late and Krejci, Marchand. Well, yes and no. I mean, some of those guys drop to them. It's not genius to be luck out that, like Brad Marchand should never have been a third round pick, but he was there and they picked him. So good for them. But that wasn't genius, because 2 years later, or they had three picks, or a few years later, three picks, 13, 14, 15, I think it was, and we remember who they took, right? And they could have had Kyle Connor, they could have had Konechny, they could have had Shabbat, they could have had, you know, they could have been cup winners multiple times if they wouldn't have screwed up on that draft. So same scouting staff, and it didn't work out. So, but getting back to Bobrov, he's obviously evolved as a scout, but again, he's not making these decisions. None of these decisions on draft day are made by one person. It's a team effort. You get your regional scouts, you get their input, and especially European ones, you gotta, because they're only making so many trips, and especially to Russia. They're not going over to they weren't going over to Russia in the last 3 years to scout hockey players, especially right after they invaded Ukraine. Nobody was going in. So you need to rely on your scouting staff, and you can't just do it by video scouting. But I mean, I think it's safe to say that the complaints about Bobrov's European scouting record have officially stopped. At least I hope so. You know, Engstrom, Demidov, Zharovsky, Philip Eriksson, Volokin, Bergquist, Konyushkov, Koivu, Slav, right? I mean, the jury's still out for many on Meshar and Reinbacher, but overall, you'd have to say the Habs drafted well in Europe since Bobrov joined the staff. And I think Reinbacher will be a top two right D. You just got to be patient with him. You know, there's an example of especially a big defenseman and one that's had some injuries, one that's just getting going in North America, like 33 games or 34 games he's played. I really like Reinbacher, and I trust that he's going to become a really, really solid NHLer. Second line, I get asked a lot, will Zharovsky be a second liner? Will he be a first liner? Right? You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he plays on the first line or the second line. And that won't determine how good a pick he was or how good a career he has. You know why? Because the Montreal Canadiens are building something here where I think they're going to contend for multiple years. And the main reason is because I think in 3 years' time, the Montreal Canadiens are going to have an exceptional top six. And, you know, don't be surprised if Ivan Demidov in 3 years' time is on the quote unquote second line. Don't be surprised if Zharovsky in 3 years' time is on the quote unquote second line. Why? Because contending teams have two lines that you can throw out there at any time that can be considered a first line that can score, you know, any have the potential to score every game, and they're dangerous offensively. Like you look back, Yvan Cournoyer and Jacques Lemaire, back when the Canadiens in the 70s, they were on the second line. Well, they're Hall of Famers. Would you say, oh, well, yeah, they shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because they were second liners? Well, they were second liners because Lafleur, Mahovlich, and Shutt were on the first line, you know? So Stamkos on Cup winners, would you consider him a second liner? No, but they put him on the second line. Matthew Tkachuk, 100-point scorer on the Cup winner, playing on the second line. You know, I can go on and on. Mark Messier and Glenn Anderson, Hall of Famers. Should Glenn Anderson have been playing with Gretzky and Curry? Maybe, but hey, you had two great duos together, right? Gretzky, Curry, Messier, Anderson. So, what ideally, if you want a contending team, one that's, you know, dangerous every playoff, it's you want two lines. You want two lines that, because typically NHL teams have one very good checking line. Do they have two? Not necessarily. So what do? Who do you put the checking line out against when you've got, you know, Ron Francis on Pittsburgh Penguins teams was the second center for a couple of years behind Mario. Hall of Famer, would you say, well, Ron Francis, second liner? No, you wouldn't, because he was playing on a great team that had a great first line. Like Slav, is Demidov got more offensive potential than Uri Slavkovsky? Probably, you know, but Glenn Anderson had more offensive upside than Dave Semenko too, who played with Gretzky and Curry for a couple of years, you know, and whoever else played on the wing with Gretzky and Curry. It's not, you don't necessarily, and Stamkos should have been on the first line if you were just going by offensive potential. But that's not how that's not how you make up a contending team. You know, Matthew Tkachuk, 100-point scorer, second line. Why? So what do the opposition do if they've got one good checking line? They can't be out two shifts in a row, right? So you balance it out, you spread it. But you know, Clark Gillies, there were players on the Islanders' second line that got more points than he did, but he was the perfect fit for Bossy and for Trache. So, you know, that he was the big guy that open up space for them. Gillies was never an 80-point score. Like, he wasn't a big scorer, but that didn't matter. He made those other two guys more effective. And Slav is doing the same thing for Suzuki and Caulfield. If, you know, if he's not on that line for the first 11 games of the season, Suzuki's not leading the league in assists, and Caulfield's not leading the league in goals. It's just a fact. He's doing a lot of things that help those two produce and have offensive opportunities. Slav doesn't always get a point on their goals, but it's the makeup of the line in general that works, and it's going to keep working. And Slav's only 21 years old. Wait 2 years from now, that line, I mean, Suzuki keeps getting better. Caulfield keeps getting better. Slav is going to just be way better in 2 years' time. So you keep that line together. And you know what? If there's a line down the road of, I don't know, Zharovsky, Demidov, and Hage or Kapanen or whatever, or Doc or what, another player that they get in, whatever that it is, if they score close to as many points as the top line, that's great. That's super. So, do I think Zharovsky will be a first liner on the Canadiens? Maybe not, but I also think that the Canadiens are going to have exceptional two top lines. And even if he's not on the first line, I think he could potentially be when you look back on it, one of the top 10 players from his draft class. So that's exciting if you're a Habs fan, I think, because the Canadiens have so much potential right now. And this Zharovsky kid is loaded with skill and very intelligent. I like how he anticipates play. He's good away from the puck. I mean, didn't necessarily know that last year, but to already be playing competently defensively at the KHL level and have the trust of his coaches so much that they're playing them at center, that bodes well. I also think that it's an indication that, you know what, this kid may end up being a center in the NHL. At worst, playing center in the KHL at 18 years of age is improving his defensive game by leaps and bounds. If he does end up being a winger in the NHL, this experience that he's getting on the wing or at center in the KHL will only benefit him if he's on the wing at the NHL level. Let's have a look at a few questions here and see comments, see what people have to say about Zharovsky. Martin Renault, what's up, Grant? Well, Zharovsky's what's up. It's all good. Thank you, Martin. Zeph, I love your analysis. Well, I love that you come on and make comments. Everybody, if you're watching this on X, pop onto the there's a link there, or YouTube, HabsCast, whatever. Just type in HabsCast in Google and you'll come right to our YouTube channel. Hop on, ask a question or two, leave a comment. I appreciate everybody's input. I guess the question to further his development is how fast we can get him over to Laval. Hey, I don't know. Playing top two center in the KHL the next 2 years, that's fine with me. Like he played 16 minutes at center today in the KHL. Now, would he be better served being in Laval? I don't know. Like, it's not like he's they're curtailing his ice time right now. They're only, Victor Kozlov's only getting more and more trust in him. KHL is a hell of a league. Like, I don't know that it's better than the AHL, but different in some ways. But it's one of the better leagues outside of the NHL. Yeah, it's watered down compared to what it used to be, but at 18 years of age, as you saw the stats there, what he's doing is pretty much unprecedented. So, like, the only guy at 18 that, did anything significant at center was Kuznetsov, and he had 32 points. Well, I think Zharovsky's going to blow that away this year. So it bodes well. Pierre Gingras, Gaston's cousin, as Eric would say. Or does he jump to the house straight up if he can put on weight? If he can put on weight and break the last year of his No. No rush here, guys. No. He's 175 pounds. He's not ready for the NHL next year. Give him 2 years is perfect timeline. He might even need a year in the AHL. Like, slow down the train here, guys, the hype train. He's got NHL skill, smarts, but he's not physically ready yet for the NHL. Give him 2 years in the KHL here. Could be a top 10 scorer in the KHL next year. Then you bring him over. Like, how did Kaprizov do playing 4 years in the KHL? Did he turn out okay? So, no, I wouldn't. I think he has to get stronger. The KHL is not the NHL when it comes to physicality. Completely different levels in that regard. So no, I would say that he needs. It's perfect that I'm glad it's not 3 years left. 2 years, perfect. Because I think when he does come out, let's hope he's up to 195 or at least 190. After two more good summers of training, 6'2", 190. He might be ready at that point, but he might need a year in the AHL too. Don't forget the Canadiens are pretty loaded now, and they've got other players coming in. Like maybe Hage is a year older. Maybe Hage is ahead of him at that point. So we'll see. Personally, I think Zharovsky's probably got more upside, but Hage is a heck of a prospect too. And don't forget he was drafted higher, right? Okay. We got two guys to keep weighing in here. The big issue was development with I don't disagree with that. Okay, it's the same people weighing in here all along. Somebody else want to leave a comment? There's Slater. Slater 69. Overall depth chart is thin on the left side down the road. I suspect it is due to extensive loading up on right side players. Yeah, I don't think they purposely load up. You just get the best player. You get the best players. And, wingers especially can play either side, right? And as far as this having four centers all shooting the same way doesn't seem to be hurting the Canadiens at all at this point. They've been winning 60+% of their faceoffs in the last couple of games. So, would you ever accept Johnny Golden? Would you ever accept a team scouting job again? You know what? Probably not. I don't like not getting any younger, and I honestly don't like the travel. Don't like driving in cities. It wears me out. It really does. I just find it stressful. I'm from a town of like one street, one stoplight. And, after I was scouting for the Habs and they didn't renew because Gauthier like cut half the scouting staff. I didn't really go after NHL jobs. I just wanted a part-time thing where I could go to the odd game. I certainly don't think I can't see myself scouting full-time in the NHL. I honestly haven't been pursuing it. 3 dogs. I had 3 dogs for a number of years there. I was single for after my scouting job with the Canadiens, and had 3 dogs in the house. I love my dogs and they took priority. What was I going to do? Right. I couldn't, I brought them on scouting trips when whenever I go to Ottawa and Hull and stuff like that, they come in the vehicle with me, but no, I couldn't leave my dogs alone all the time. It just wasn't possible. Couldn't afford to be like dog sitting I just wouldn't do that to my dogs, have them in a kennel all the time and stuff. So I decided, look, I'm going to get into start my own scouting service, work for myself, scout when I can. I love it. I don't regret my decision. Would I have more money if I'd have got an NHL scouting job after that? Yeah, but it's not all about money for me. It's about enjoying what you do. And, I like being at home, scouting, scouting on video, watching hockey games. It's a pretty fun living, even if I don't make a pile of cash. Unless you start supporting me a little more, guys. Show me the money. Francois Bedard, as a scout, what is your opinion? Usage of advanced stats, Corsi, etc. Well, I'm kind of old school, like where they're they supplement what you see, the eye test, as they call it. If what I'm seeing is complete opposite of what the stats are, then I go back and I have a look and see what I'm missing. So they're a good complement. I think you don't ignore them, but you also shouldn't. Some of these advanced stats guys that put up a chart and they don't look at the player, but that's the gospel. Well, that player is crappy or that player is great based on my advanced stats that I've done. I don't think that's the way either. It for me, there needs to be a combination of the two things, and if there's a major discrepancy between what you see and what the advanced stats say, then you have another look at it, and you see where perhaps you've misinterpreted. And sometimes the advanced stats don't tell the story or the whole story, and sometimes they're not completely accurate or describe. But you can only do so much with stats, right? Stats don't reveal heart. They don't necessarily reveal character, or well, they definitely don't reveal character. They don't reveal IQ in a lot of instances. Combination of the two is ideal. But if I only had one, either advanced stats to rank a player or scouting, I would pick scouting. I still think that you can't beat that, because I don't need advanced stats to know that somebody's good at good in the offensive zone, or has puck possession, or gets a lot of high danger shots. If I'm scouting and I'm watching them, I see that already, right? So, but a good question, Francois, and thank you. Bontoon. Does Reinbacher still have? Well, I don't know. Well, what would he not, because he hasn't been playing? Sure, he's 20 years old. Yeah, he still has top 4 right D defense potential. Why wouldn't he? Just because we're not scouting him doesn't mean he doesn't have that. Yeah, I don't know about 25 minutes a night. Like, I don't want any of the guys. Ideally here, just like you have two lines that are interchangeable, like 1A, 1B at the top, first line, 2 first lines. I want two top defense pairings, right? Ideally, they're all playing 20 to 25 minutes, and none of them are playing 20 to 24 minutes, and none of them are playing 25 minutes a night. That's the ideal scenario, right? Down the road. Yeah, Dobson, Reinbacher will be the 2 right-hand defense for a decade, I think. It's a year away maybe for Reinbacher, but yeah, top 2 right D, definitely. That's still his potential. We'll see if I'm not saying it's etched in stone, but yeah, that's what I expect. Daniel Thornton. Hi, Grant. Do you think the Habs would still want to add a center in a trade, or are they willing to wait out for one of these guys to be ready? One of these guys to be ready. Well, right now, I don't know that like Kapanen and Doc are playing middle line center roles, and they're playing fine. So I don't know that any of the guys, the guys in the Farm are going to supplant either of those guys as centers. Maybe. We'll see. Like the old grass is always greener on the other side thing. Sometimes what you already have, is good. Kapanen is looking awfully impressive as a 22-year-old at center. Doc's only, 24, maybe 25 now. Been injured so much, right? But a top 3 pick. So if he reaches his potential, who's going to be a better center in the NHL? The guy picked in the 20s, Hage, or the guy picked top 3? Doc still has very, very high potential. And because he's been injured the last 2 years, I think, obviously it's been delayed. But before his injury, the season before, I think he was on pace for about 55 points at like 21, 22 years of age. He looked like a future top 2 center. So I'm not closing the book on him being that. I mean, I've said it over and over again that I think Kapanen's might be the perfect number 2 center for he could complement Demidov perfectly. So many teams have Patrice Bergeron is a great example, right? He wasn't an 80-point scorer. He just played the game right and was super smart and great defensively. And I think Kapanen's all of those things. I don't think that he's on the level of Patrice Bergeron at this point, but do I think he can develop into that type of player? I do. Maybe just a small level below, but a Bergeron type, right? An Anthony Cirelli type, who was a second line center on 2 cup winners. Chandler Stevenson, who was a second line center on a cup winner. Braden Shen was a second line center on a cup winner. Sam Bennett, second line center on a cup winner. That, just as you might have Slav on the first line because he complements the other 2 guys, you might have Kapanen centering at Demidov and Zharovsky because you need that. You need the complement to the other 2 guys. You can't have just 6 danglers, skilled players in your top 6. I don't think you can look at it. There are no NHL Cup winners ever in history, I don't think, and someone will probably find one, but that didn't have a mix in your top 6. You got to have guys that are really good at not just offensive players, but who are exceptional defensively and very smart. You need those guys too, right? To win, because they play with 2 nets. You got to keep the puck out of your own net too. It just can't be just all about trying to score goals. Would the KHL is watered down now? Yeah, it's watered down a bit. Yeah. I love Prot so far. I live in Kitchener, so I watch a lot of local area hockey. Bulldogs look scary this year. Yeah, they do. They, I think they lost the other night or whatever, but yeah, very good. I really like the Benak kid. They got him in. Obviously, they got back. They got back their top 10 pick there, right? Let's see here. Jake O'Brien, 8th overall. He's a hell of a smart player. They've got a lot of nice pieces. No, I like Brantford, and might be a team that goes to the Memorial Cup this year. Very strong for sure. Who's MC? MC reposted this stream. Oh, MC. Thank you, MC. Maybe we'll make you the MC here someday. Yeah, well, if we don't have to worry about it, right? Whatever will be, que sera, sera. But that is a good point. The fact that he's a left shot. Well, we'll see. He's got what 120 games to play, or no, 100 anyways over the next 2 years, maybe 120 in the KHL. Hopefully, most of them are at center, and he keeps impressing in that regard. We'll see though. Lotus Man, always like your comments, and again, I like the compliments. Thank you very much for chiming in. I appreciate that. Great, good review of Zharovsky. Thank you. Montoon, do you see a world where we trade Hage? What he brings is already abundant on the current roster. I think we could package for a nice right ND. Yeah. I definitely. That's not an impossibility. Yeah, and I agree with that. And of course, the very next person says we're not trading Hage. Yeah. Hage is going nowhere. Lol. Yeah, well, never say never, my friends. The Canadiens are building a cup winner here, I think, like a cup contender. And yeah, Hage could be 2-3 years away. I don't know that he's going to be a center in the NHL. I don't know that. So, we'll see. We'll see. I like Hage a lot. I think he'll play in the league. He'll play probably a top 6 role, but if he does, it's likely on the wing. Canadiens have Slavkovsky, Caulfield, Zharovsky, Demidov in the top 6 on the wings right now. So does Hage. Where does Hage play? Maybe he's going to be a second line center. Personally, I don't know. I don't see it, as I just was explaining about you can't have 6 offensive players in your top. You got to have one really good defensive conscience on your second line. You have to have a good two-way center in your second line, typically, if you're going to win a cup. I don't see Hage isn't that for me right now. Doesn't mean that he can't be down the road, but if you ask me, is Michael Hage going to be a center on a cup winner in 2 or 3 years? I'd be surprised. I would be. Maybe in 4 years, maybe he can evolve to that point. But right now, for me, if it was up to me and you really needed that one piece that you think would get you over the top, he's 3 or 4 years away. And I think, like, from being a top 6 possibility, certainly a top 6 center, I think he's 2 to 3 years minimum away. Montreal's window to win, I think, starts this year. So do you want a better chance at winning the next 2 or 3 years, or hope that he figures out the defensive, the play away from the puck, and in 3 or 4 years is your second line center that helps you maybe win a cup? They might decide, okay, we've got enough. We're happy with our other pieces here. Yeah, let's deal him. A lot will depend on what we see from Kapanen here over the next, and Doc over the next 3-4 months. If they keep playing better, improving, impressing, Michael Hage might be someone that's considered to be traded at the trade deadline. We'll see. I'm not saying it's for sure, but people that say he's not getting traded and going lol and this and that, hey, there are reasons. If he is traded, it's because they're happy. They think Zharovsky might be second line center down the road, or they think Doc and Kapanen are on schedule. If Oliver Kapanen is on a 60 to 70 point pace, killing penalties, playing great with Demidov at the trade deadline, do you not think that the Canadiens, if they get offered the perfect piece that can make them contend this year, if they're at the top of the standings, that they would consider trading Hage? Absolutely, they would. So you have to keep an open mind with this. It's not the drafted players aren't always the answer or always going to be fantastic. Michael Hage, again, a nice prospect, but again, too, you look at, he piles up 5 points against Mercyhurst when the score's 5-1. That's not NHL playoff scoring 5 points. There's a hell of a difference between in a 10-1 game getting 5 points and padding your stats and having 3 or 4 points and playing a two-way game in the Stanley Cup Finals. So we'll see. But don't get me wrong, I like Michael Hage. I know it may sound to some of you like I don't, but I just I've been around this game for 50 years and seen a lot of things that Pierre LaRouche, was a 100-point scorer on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he couldn't play top two center under Scotty Bowman because he wasn't good enough defensively. And Pierre Mondu, who was a 50, 60-point scorer, he played second line center in 77, 78 because Bowman didn't trust Pierre LaRouche away from the puck. You know what? Scotty Bowman was right. Won 2 cups doing that. So we're not NHL coaches, and they tend to be on the conservative side because they know that you need shutdown guys in important roles at center if you want to contend for a cup. You can't just have 2 skilled centers and think, we're gonna that we're just gonna outscore. We're gonna win games 8-6. Typically the teams that have the most goals scored in the regular season don't win the cup. It's just the way it is. The next draft is strong and deep. Should the Habs retain a number of picks to cash in? Retain a number of pick to cash in. Peter, I'm not quite. Maybe try rewording that. I'm not. To cash in. Okay, I'm not. Maybe resend that and explain yourself a little better, and I'll try to answer it. Okay, I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm not sure what this is talking about. Zharovsky fell in the draft because he is a Russian. That's definitely part of it. The Canadiens cashed in on that, right? But Demidov and Michkov were picked top 6, so Simashev was the top 6 pick. So it's not just because he's a Russian. There were some concerns about his play away from the puck, and being a small sample size, his skating, like there were some things that needed to be answered and addressed, and I think he's done that. So in part it's because he's Russian, because NHL decision makers didn't get to see him live. They had to rely a lot. They had to rely on their Russian scouts. They had to rely on background info. They had to rely on video scouting. But it's not, it's not just because he was Russian, but certainly it was a factor. Thanks, Hockey Gab, for contributing. I appreciate that. Lotus Man. I remember watching the 21 draft, and Grant was on Twitter begging the Habs to take Nyes or Wyatt Johnson with their pick. Yeah. I had Wyatt Johnson very high. Matthew Nyes, I had him 18th overall, and when he dropped to the mid 50s, I was texting Trevor Timmins and saying, "Man, get Bergie to move up and get this guy." And to add insult to injury, when Toronto picked him, I was not happy. But usually Trevor took Logan Mailloux first pick, and I wanted him to take Nyes with that pick for a lot of reasons. Firstly, I had him ranked higher than Mailloux, but also because of all the kerfuffle that I knew was going to happen if they took Mayu. Uh, I'd always, after Montreal would make their top pick, I'd always text Trevor and say, "Hey, great pick. Loved your pick." I didn't. I didn't do it because I was very disappointed because I knew there'd be backlash. I knew, and it ultimately cost Trevor his job. I do believe that, but because of the cancel culture that we live in, right? Um, but I wanted Nyes. There wasn't going to be any issue with off ice with Nyes, and I couldn't understand how he dropped to the 50s in the draft. If anyone that scouted him closely in the USHL in the second half that year could see that this kid had improved by leaps and bounds and had power forward potential, and it was just a shock to me that he didn't go till the 50s. I don't know why, but yeah, that one, it is disappointing that the Canadiens didn't end up with Nyes, and look who did. But all's well that ends well, right? The Canadiens got Bolduc for Mayu, and who's to say that when it's all said and done, Bolduc may have as good a career as Matthew Nyes. Right now, it's looking like Nyes is the better player, but we'll see. Yeah. Wyatt Johnson had already been taken. He was taken 23 or something like that. So yeah, but I did have him. I did have Wyatt Johnson ranked quite high. If Montreal finishes where they are today, who do you have as Montreal's first round pick? A center winger, D-man. Oh boy, Slater, that's way too early. Get back to me in May. June. I have no idea. Like, I don't even have a top 20 right now, let alone tell you who they should be taking 30th overall or whatever they'd be picking. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Told the story this week. Very interesting. Yeah, I guess I'm repeating myself here. But there are some people that maybe didn't hear the story, and I added a little extra to it there today. Johnny Golden, do Galley and Anderson play out their contracts with the Habs? Well, I don't see them getting traded. So they'll play out their contracts. Will they get re-signed? Good question. At this point, you'd lean towards no, but you do need vets, and boy, I mean, Galley's bled red, white, and blue, as long as he wasn't looking for the same type of contract, I wouldn't have an issue with bringing back Galley for a couple of years. He just, so few Habs over the past, since Bob Gainey, I think Price was the first one that, well, no, because he got traded too, so, right? But that played a long entire career with the Canadiens, there's been so few. I hope Galley retires a Montreal Canadien, but I could understand if he moves on to somewhere else for a couple of years, but I don't know. From my heart says no. I want Galley to retire a Hab. When Reinbacher becomes Hudson's partner, Matheson resigns to play with Dobson, Goulet and Carrier on your third. Well, yeah, that's a possibility. Could be maybe Goulet with Dobson and Matheson with Carrier. Not necessarily Reinbacher with Hudson, but yeah, you could be looking at that scenario. And yeah, a 16th overall pick with as much upside as Goulet. Playing on your third unit with Carrier, who is playing like a top 4 defenseman. Yeah, that's nice depth, isn't it? Johnny, click the likes to help Grant. Hey, yes, please like this video if you're watching, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, become a member. David Brown, who was my very first, he doesn't seem to talk too much on here, but he became a member. He emailed me and said, "Hey, I want to come on Saturday night." So we're going to get him on podcast Saturday night, weigh in. And if you're a member, a Patreon, a YouTube member, I'm going to email me and let me know if, give me your email. It's grant@habscast.ca, and I will sign you up as a member, as a Patreon member. We got all sorts of stuff going to be posted there that you don't get anywhere else, exclusive content. But also, come on a HabsCast sometime. Get on video, chat with me and the other guys. Ask a couple questions, and we'll talk Habs hockey for a while. We're building a Habs community here, and it's going to be fun. So for $5 for a month, if you'd like to do that, sign on as a YouTube member. We're already up to 8, and thank you very much, guys, or 9. And come on a HabsCast. We're going to start doing that, and it's going to be fun. So just as the season goes along and the Habs keep winning here, and the goodwill, everyone's in a good mood. Join us. Come on, and we'll have you on to talk Habs hockey. Wouldn't that be great? So there you go. Those are the reasons why you should become a member, and not only because of that, it helps me. I'm still below the poverty line here with this, but working hard, and hopefully we can get a couple of sponsors signed up. By the way, if you own a company and you'd like to sponsor the Habs Prospect of the Week or the Draft Prospect of the Week, get in touch with me. We've got a super deal for you there if you want to promote your company. It's a very unique way to do so, and you'll get lots of coverage. You'll get mentions on my Twitter account with 23,000 followers all the time. Something to consider. Again, grant@habscast.ca. Get in touch with me. I'm sure we could work something out. LPB, Thomas Harley signed for one more year than Dobson in a much better tax environment. I love how Hugo have been managing the cap and getting guys to take less. Yeah, and Cooley too, right? Friggin' 10 million plus, like making more than $2 million more than Slav because his point totals are higher. Somebody posted yesterday, "Oh well, the Canadiens regret not taking Cooley. Why? Because he signed a bigger contract than Slav. Wait and see here. Cooley probably ends up with more points in the NHL than Slav, but I don't know. Do you not? When you consider how Slav is helping the first line, helping those two guys, lead the league in goals and assists because of his presence, because of everything that he does, his defensive play, his board work, his screening the goalie, his physicality. He's leading the Habs in hits by far. Those are things that Logan Cooley doesn't necessarily do, right? So is Logan Cooley better than Slav? Well, maybe, but you can make the argument the other way too. And Slav's 6'3" and 21 years old. Cooley's 5'10". Invariably, they're better at 21 years of age because they're bigger guys take longer to reach their full potential as a rule. You look back at most big players, they aren't at their peak till 23 plus, and a lot of smaller guys are at a younger age because they're already they aren't physically developing any more than they already have. Yeah, it would be a hard no, just me. Yeah, well, hey, we're all entitled to our opinions, Pierre. I don't see why it would be a hard no, especially as I explained that, because we don't know. we really don't know if Michael Hage is going to be a top 2 center. He may not be a center at all. There are questions there. Watch him. If you get a chance, Pierre, watch him closely away from the puck. And if you still think, yeah, guaranteed that he's going to be a second line center, then okay, keep that opinion. But the hard no, again, it's not a hard yes for me that he should be traded. Like nothing's hard here. It's a possibility, but we got to keep open minds on these things. And there, if he is traded, there's pretty good reasons, and one of them being that Doc Kapanen, they're happy with. They think Zharovsky could possibly be top 2 center. There's somebody in the system that they really like. Koivu could come on like gangbusters. Papanicus, don't rule out him being second line center someday. Like I have 50 years of thinking that this is the way things are going to be in 2 to 3 years, and it being the complete opposite. Like, did I ever think that Doug Wickenheiser, when he was picked first overall by the Habs, wasn't going to be a top 2 center for the team? That Keith Acton would, and Guy Carbonneau would end up being ahead of them as center on the Montreal Canadiens? No, but these things happen over and over again. So you have to keep an open mind with it. Don't, never say never to any possibility happening, right? Wayne Gretzky got traded. So the day that happened, I officially gave up the, no, that can't happen. That guy can't be traded. It's Michael Hage, nice prospect, but come on. Of course I don't think you can say hard no. What if you get a star? And he's a missing piece. Well, no, because Michael Hage might be a second line center. Well, I'd rather win a cup now than, a guy maybe being a second line center. But that's just me. And everyone has their opinions, and I can be, forceful in mine, and so can you, Pierre. I've watched your, you on the Twitter feed here, and that's hey, that's great that everybody here is so passionate and loves the Habs, has their opinions. We're not always going to agree with each other, right? But the hard no thing. Come on, Pierre. Yeah, I don't know that's justified. Let's see here. Hughes has been using multiple methods to help people with his high taxes in Quebec. Hudson only pays 15% taxes on 80% of his income. Yeah, that's a very good point, Stephen. He's, he working around these things, right, as best you can. He's, yeah, that's so true. Sheldon, it's not all about offensive numbers. Yeah, it really isn't. And especially with Hage, you can look at his stats and think, well, he's going to be guaranteed that he's a second line center, but just we'll wait and see here. Francois Bedard. Oh boy. Sent me $10. Great job with the podcast, Grant. I like the calm nature of it compared to some other podcasts in which they have to yell and gesticulate to grab attention. Okay. Well, I do get probably said this before I tuned out Pierre a little bit there, but oh no, I get passionate. It's thanks, I appreciate that. And hey, $10 from Francois Bedard. Wow, that makes my day, Francois. You've been a regular here. Love the passion. So everyone. There's so many intelligent people in this group. It's I've been surprised actually. It's not like HF boards or something like that. Reddit, Habs Reddit. LPB, yes, Stephen, but that's only applicable to U.S. citizen. Yeah, yeah. Um, Sheldon. Oh boy. Well, Sheldon, better late than never, and you can always watch it later, right? And $5, wow. Uh, hey, you've been contributing regularly here, on top of being a member too, and wow, that's just that's fantastic. $15 my way through contributions today. That makes my day, guys. Thank you so much. Montreal seems to struggle playing with the lead. What do you feel they are not doing well in this situation? Uh, they're playing against good teams, right? You know, Seattle was 5-2-2. They're at home. You know, Montreal outplayed them for 2 periods, and Seattle outplayed them for a period, right? It's the Brandon Montour effect. That guy owns the Canadiens. Man, he's so good against Montreal. You know, you can only keep him down so long, apparently, when you're, you know, the Habs. So I don't know. There's no. I'm not sure how I can answer that. You know, other than the fact that it's the NHL. You know, there's no bad teams, and yeah, you can be better than them for a couple of periods, and they can come back. Just like Montreal, don't forget, came back, right? They were down. They won a couple of games they probably shouldn't have won. The reverse scenario, right? So it goes both ways. I think you'll find that it evens out throughout the year. Canadians will blow a few leads and they'll win a few games that you didn't expect them to with late comebacks. We are calling them the cardiac kids for a while there too, don't forget. So I think it balances out. Steve, Canadian-born player that keeps his residency in Canada, pays full Canadian tax. Okay. Well, you guys know more about this stuff than I do. Drum dude, Slav is instrumental on that first line. Yeah, I truly believe that. It's not all just about points with Slav right now. I think he helps drive that line in so many ways. You know, Pierre Slav is simply a better fit for the Habs. Both teams are happy with what they have, as it should be. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's on the first line, right? Would Cooley have been on the first line in Montreal? No. I mean, they'd have a 1-2 punch at center that pretty awesome, right? Although I'm not sure it's ideal either. Like, you know, I like a bit better defensive center than Cooley, but his defensive game has come as his career has gone on. So, but he would be the second line center on Montreal. Slash first line power winger, like two different things, but one's helping drive the first line. So how can you know, you can't complain about that. You pick a player that plays on your first line, you did not pick the wrong guy. You know, you can argue somebody else, unless you know the other guy is a first line center. But I don't think Cooley. Would I take Cooley over Nick Suzuki? Not today, that's for sure. Probably never. Oh, okay. I didn't. It was at the very top, and $10 from Francois. Great job with the podcast. Thank you so much, Francois. That just means the world to me. I really appreciate it. Kevin Gumbly, Hage in pieces for Crosby. Oh, jeez. Yes, all day and twice on two. I'd trade Hage for Bo Horvat. You know, Hage in pieces for Horvat. You know, Canadians' window is now. Will Hage ever be better than Bo Horvat? Oh, he's got to be a hell of a player. We'll see. But Horvat brings so many different, just like Crosby, could help you win, Stanley Cups. So, yeah, you know, Hage would definitely be in a deal um, for Crosby or Horvat for me. Another bonus with Slav is his contract is better than Cooley. Yeah, well, like I say, that guy that posted yesterday, like saying Cooley signs a bigger contract, so that means the Canadiens regret drafting Slav. It didn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't know, just paying him more. That means he's better. Well, we'll see. We'll see who has a better career. Cooley probably end up with more points than Slav. That doesn't mean he'll be the better player, as far as I'm concerned. Guys, we're up. What are we at here? Up over an hour. If you got a few questions, lay them on me quickly here. I'll try to answer them, and we'll go from there. But might have to wrap it up quickly here. I'd prefer trading Hage and Zharovsky. At this point, me too. But they're both really nice prospects, and you're getting a really good return, and you're thinking that you can contend now if you did trade either of them. Don't get me wrong. I like both. I like Hage. I mean, the kid's, great story. I love the background, character kid, very skilled. He's a piece of the puzzle if they do keep him, and he's a great trade asset if they decide to deal him both ways. Drum Dude, one thing I like about Hage, he's a fan of the team. Yeah, his father was too. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's not a reason. Josh Anderson's a fan of the team too. Do you never trade? Josh Anderson. But yeah, I mean, he's gonna work hard for the Canadiens if and when he makes them. Imagine, right? Your father passed away tragically like that, and he was a fan of that team, and then you get picked by them. Tell me he wouldn't bleed red, white, and blue someday. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, you cannot argue that. Lotus Man, can you talk about Panicus a bit, Grant? Yeah, I did a video on him last week that you might want to check out. Or a couple of weeks ago, he was last Sunday's show. He was the prospect of the week. So check out my Sunday show with Rick. I did a video and talked about him. He was the Habs prospect of the week. In fact, I texted his coach who was on the show, Derek Martin. That's another, if you want more info about Papanicus, go back and look at that video. Derek Martin, I interviewed him, I don't know, 6 weeks ago or so. He had some really good info on Papanicus, but I like Papanicus a lot. But I texted it after this. He played against Medicine Hat. I don't know what it is. It seems to bring out the best in him, but goal and an assist, tied the game late, had a goal called back, best player on the ice. And I texted Derek and said, really liked that game from him. And Derek said, probably the best game that he's played as a Kelowna Rocket. So, I would say go back and look at that video. And it's near the end, prospect of the week from this past Sunday. But Papanicus has second line center upside too. Just because the guy's picked in the third round or whatever doesn't mean, like, things are so unpredictable. Papanicus should have been a top 60 pick. It's safe to say now, from what I've seen of him since the draft. Another guy that I think they stole where they got him. He was inconsistent last year after he got traded to Kelowna, but Kelowna was a bad team. And what's really cool is that he's centering the first line, and TJ Ginla, who was a top 6 pick, is centering the second line. So what's that tell you, right? That the coach is pretty impressed with Papanicus. That Pulatine was the first line center. They put him over on the wing after a couple of games of Papanicus getting back from mono, and now he's centering the top line with Wetch and Pulatine, and they've got Ginla centering the second line. So, not saying that the coach thinks that he's better than a Ginla. And again, this is as I was trying to describe how you want two lines, and it doesn't matter if a guy that should be a first liner is on your second line. If you're a contender, you ideally have guys that are, arguably first liners on your second line. Well, that's, part of the reason why TJ Ginla, a top 6 pick in the NHL draft, is on Kelowna's second line. They're hosting the Memorial Cup, and they want to win. And, you do that by having 2 superior top lines. And that's why. Okay, who got 11.5 million? Net cash. Wow. Yeah. Engstrom really good last night. Yeah, well, Engstrom has some good games. Again, you want a balance there, right? You want a non-physical guy on your third pairing, shutdown pairing type thing. Like Carrier and Engstrom doesn't bring a lot of bulk there. Engstrom still got to put on some weight. He might get called up for a look here, but Jacky played well again the other night, and I don't think they're going to bench him for Engstrom at this point. We'll see. If you saw my show with Simon Boisvert yesterday, Simon's not sure that he'll ever play for the Habs too, but never say never. I'm certainly not going to predict one way or the other. Johnny Golden, what would it take to get Zacha? I think Bruins need futures, which we definitely have. Yeah, I don't think Boston's made one trade with Montreal in the last 60 years. Seabass, Cam Neely's their president. I think he'd nix any trade that would make the Habs better at this point. But yeah, I don't know. You Engstrom and a first, something like that for Zacha. Yeah. Oh, Engstrom's not going to be. Yeah, I did not see the Laval game last night. I'm I'm all in on the Blue Jays right now. That's if the Habs aren't playing and the Blue Jays are World Series, I'm I'm pro. I know some of you could never cheer for a Toronto team, but I don't know. I'm Canadian first and foremost. I cheer for the Raptors. I cheer for the Blue Jays. They're the only Canadian teams in those leagues, and I took pride when Raptors won the NBA title, and 92 and 93. I was over the top that Canada won the World Series, and I'm all in. Savage, Vladdy, the whole, go Jays, go. No, I had I think I'd be divorced if I, even though the wife is all in on the Jays right now. Watching an AHL game instead of the World Series would not have gone over well last night, believe me. But I will take a look at that game. I just not enough hours in the day. as of yet. Do I think Colorado is better with Rantanen or Netcash? Well, that's a pretty easy answer for me. I think it is a pretty easy answer for most people. Yeah, really, eh? Why didn't they sign Rantanen to that deal? Of course, things have changed a bit, right? With the cap going up and everything. Like if you were to try to sign Rantanen today, probably be north of 14 mil. But yeah, Rantanen all the way over Netcash for me. Fowler first star with a shutout last night. Yeah, sorry guys, I didn't even look at that. I'll have to go back, have a look. I will get a video. Actually, my video guy, I'll get him to make a Fowler tape. We'll get a look at bring back the Expos. I hear you, my friend. Well, look, we're almost 90 minutes here now. Nobody else is sending me any money, so I'm going to wrap it up. As usual, I haven't eaten anything yet, and it's now 1:30. So much for it being a HabsCast lunch. Not for me. Hope you guys got a snack in. Hope you enjoyed the few nuggets that I laid out for you. I hope you're as high on Zharovsky as I am. He's looking really good. Should have been a first-round pick. No, I'm not going to say, top 5 for sure, but hey, you got to get spicy headlines to get people interested in watching the show. And great turnout. We're up over 1,094 have looked at this podcast, and it's just growing. It's growing by the week, and that's so encouraging. I really, again, for all you guys that were late here, maybe I'll put this up. Most KHL points at 18 years of age. Okay. Tolvanen, 36. Kuznetsov, 32. Kaprizov, 27. Tarasenko, 24. Boot, 21. Michkov, 20. Alex Zharovsky is already 14th on the list, having only played 12 games. The highest points per game of any of these players was Tolvanen. And I mean, a pile of those came on the power play, too. He was 0.735 points per game. Zharovsky's averaging a point per game. And I think he's going to continue doing that. They're not the strongest team, UFA. I think I have to check out. I wish I had had time, but their record without him and with him, completely different. I think they're a 500 team or close to it right now with Zharovsky in the lineup. And when he wasn't, they were more like a 250 team or something like that. So he makes that team better. He's going to get a lot. I think his ice time just continues to grow as time goes along. And yeah, very, very encouraging. So, all right, folks, 1,113 people tuning in. Wow. That's so encouraging, folks. I appreciate it. Don't see any more questions here. When's the next show? We're gonna do a Montreal Forum tomorrow with Liam. I'll probably have someone else on. I think I'm trying to get a couple of TSN 1200 guys for tomorrow. They're still they're on radio Ottawa guys to talk about the Sens and set things up for the big match on Saturday night, the Sens and the Habs. Either Steve Lloyd or AJ Jakubek. Nothing's confirmed yet, but I hope one of them can join me tomorrow, and we'll do we'll get her set up for the big game Sens against the Habs. And I'm also Liam and I are gonna do a Montreal Forum. He was away for a couple of weeks there doing that NHL Legends tour that he he's a part of, and he's back. We're going to do a Montreal Forum tomorrow, hopefully with Yvan Cornway, but nothing has been settled yet. Yvan, he has good days and bad days now. He's like 82, so it's not a guarantee, but we're really hoping that Mr. Cornway can join Liam tomorrow for a show. And if he does, that's quite a lineup, right? So I hope to do a live show at lunch again tomorrow. It'll depend somewhat on AJ and Steve Lloyd, and if either of them's available at lunchtime, that's great. It might be a different time, but ideally lunch. Looks like I'm trying to do a lunchtime show so people are used to it and know to come on, right? Know when they can join me live. So hopefully noon tomorrow, live lunch, but I will update you on Twitter later today about that. And I think Johnny says it best here. Go Habs, go. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.